Selling authors who write stunning books for teens and adults alike. Meg Cabot's books have sold over 16 million copies worldwide. Libba Bray's novel Going Bovine won the 2010 Michael L. Prince Award. Maggie Stievater's book Shiver has been licensed to be published in 36 languages. Their books are in turn funny, heartbreaking, romantic, lyrical, and entertaining. For those of you who haven't read Abandon yet, don't miss it. It's a dark, compelling twist on the Persephone myth with a good splash of mystery and romance mixed in. I know I loved Libba Bray's new work, Beauty Queens, a deliciously subversive take on what it means to be a young woman in a world of conflicting stereotypes. Think Lord of the Flies, but with beauty queens and a happier ending. And I know we're all waiting impatiently for Forever, due out in July, the hotly awaited conclusion to Maggie Stievater's Shiver trilogy. A beautiful, fresh take on werewolves balanced perfectly with romance and a sense of tension that makes you want to keep reading until the end. As some of you may know, there has been recent controversy about the subject matter covered in young adult literature these days. The Wall Street Journal recently put forth the argument that many young adult books focus too much on dark and extreme topics, that it's a hall of funhouse mirrors constantly reflecting back the hideously distorted portrayals of what life is. But I think what This Is Teen, these authors, and this tour are all about is connecting directly with teens about issues, dark or otherwise, and sparking conversations that can continue between friends, with parents, or in the classroom. Please join me in welcoming Meg Cabot, Libba Bray, and Maggie Stievater.
And I am revoltingly pleased to be here with the charming Libba Bray and the delightful Meg Cabot. They are actually no stranger to Boston. I personally have not been here for 10 years. I was first here when I was, oh wait, it's longer than 10 years ago. When I was 15, I was here at a Celtic music band camp. I don't talk about that or the bagpipes very much. All right, so moving on. When Scholastic first proposed the idea of This Is Teen to me, I was pretty excited because book events like this can be a lot of work, and I thought that with 3 authors, we could kind of delegate the duties. So, like, I see Meg signing the books, Libba taking the complaints, and I will take any gifts you have brought. I don't care if they say Meg or Libba on them. I'm flexible. It's cool. It also helps that I'm really passionate about the idea behind This Is Teen, which is basically just about connecting online and offline with our readers. All of us here have really strong web presences. We're always on Facebook and Twitter, and even more importantly, our readers are on Facebook and Twitter. So many of you, okay, how many of you heard about this event from Facebook or Twitter? There you go. Okay, look around. That is tea. So this is just a way of taking the conversation from online and bringing it here so you can ask us questions and we can hear what you think. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the books and then open it up for questions. Sound good? Say yes. Yes. All right, good. Okay. So normally in these events, I answer one of my most commonly asked questions about my books, The Wolves of Mercy Falls. But here's my confession. Every author has questions that they get asked about their books that they despise answering for one reason or another. And this question, I have 2 of them that I hate. The first one I hate answering because it makes me sound like a terrible person when I answer it. I'm not going to talk about that. The second one, it involves me liking to watch readers cry. I mean, the second one, okay. I don't like answering it because I don't actually have an answer for it, but I'm going to try for you guys tonight. And that question is the terrible question, why werewolves? Yeah, so I don't really like werewolves. Okay, so all of you guys know what there is to know about werewolves, though, right? They shed, they slobber, they savage the clerk at the local 7-Eleven. Way back before any of you guys were born, the Germans invented them. There you go. Werewolves 101. Yeah, I've never been a big fan. How many of you guys are Team Jacob? You know when he's not rippling his hips, he smells like wet dog, right? Okay, so yeah, werewolves. Rather than answer this question, I'm going to tell a story, actually. So, once upon a young and tender Maggie, I was a small and neurotic child, which I've grown out of, as you can see. No, I was really neurotic. I was afraid of everything. I was most afraid of monsters, general heading. And I remember on one particular occasion, I came downstairs and my parents were watching a movie, and I didn't catch much of it, but it didn't take much. It was this: a submarine, divers, and a deep sea creature that turned the inside of divers into a clear, colorless jelly. I wouldn't get into a bathtub for weeks. God knows what was coming up through the grave. Or when I was a small child, I was a voracious reader, and my parents took me every single week to the Williamsburg Public Library and left me in the stacks. I was basically raised by feral librarians. I'd check out a huge stack. They had a wonderful children's section, fiction on one side, non-fiction on the other. I could check out anything I wanted, which was all very well and good until one week I checked out Plant People. It's an evocative title, isn't it? I just think to myself, if I could come up with titles like that, I wouldn't have to spend hours on internet word search engines looking for words that end with ER that are not incredibly inappropriate for titles of young adult novels. Shiver, linger, Lautner. Wolf people and be done with it. Anyway, so here's the deal with Plant People. It's a small western town. A fog comes rolling in and turns everyone except for the narrator into a plant. I call it the greenhouse effect. So normally I would not have been affected by something like this because, please, if people were going all eucalyptic west of the Mississippi, surely it would have been on the news because I was small and neurotic, but also logical. However, Plant People had photographs. Black and white photographs of the town, the mist, and a photo that will stick with me forever. Close-up of the narrator's mother's hands making dinner. And in her hands, you see that she has veins, not veins like blood, but veins like pumping chlorophyll through her body, turning her into a plant. Worst part about Plant People? I couldn't remember if I'd gotten it from the fiction section or the non-fiction section. So I could have gone to the libraries and asked them if it was true or not true, but no, it was easier to spend next year being paranoid every time the fog came rolling in, go running inside, Mom, show me your hands. She told the truth, thank you for asking. So it should come as no surprise to you all that when I caught a small snippet of Teen Wolf as a child, I was deeply scarred. See how I brought that background to Werewolves? That's how we New York Times bestsellers roll. I was deeply scarred. It wasn't so much that I thought that werewolves really existed. It was just to be on the safe side. I never looked at the full moon for any longer than 14 seconds before the age of 11. And it worked. So I think to myself, is this why I wrote a trilogy about werewolves? Because I watched Teen Wolf before I was ready for it? And I think, no, I don't really write books about werewolves because, please, the werewolves in my novels, when they're wolves, they're just wolves. And when they're humans, they're emo teenagers. There's nothing in between. There's no monster. There's no were. If anything, they're shapeshifters. And then 4.5 years of liberal arts education kicks in, and I go, you know what? They're not even shapeshifters. They're metaphors. They're metaphors for losing your identity and increasing the wage of suburban society. And then my husband goes, can we just have a nice dinner for once? But no, it's true. I really do think that they're metaphors because I'm really struck with the idea of, holding on to your identity as a teen, and it's kind of hard to make yourself into a person that you want to be instead of the person that other people want you to be, and that's a book I'm interested in writing. So yeah, I don't write books about werewolves. Why werewolves? Bad question. Why metaphors? Say. Oh, I do. Okay, so yeah, my last book in the series comes out July 12th, and it's called Forever, not Lautner. And I hope y'all will check it out and read it. And I also have another book coming out October 18th. It's called The Scorpio Races, and it's about blood and beaches and kissing. And sometimes I tell people that it's kind of like a cross between The Deadliest Catch and My Little Pony. But then they get really scared, so I'm working on a better description. But I hope you'll read that one too, and now I'm going to give the microphone to Lola.